troll tips from an idiot who was doing dollar tip. Sorry, another troll tip, so I'm just ignoring the nonsense.
Let me double check. There's a lot of troll tips today that I've ignored. Basically, there's a bunch of troll tippers this morning.
Here's the thing, most of the dollar tips are troll tips.
Don't talk about money. Oh, by the way, here's money. Shout out my contribution.
Thanks for the money, dummies!
Urban style individual.
What's up with y'all? Hopefully this video finds you in good spirits, and if not, well, at least you not DSP. You know, there's an old saying that there's a thin line between love and hate, and I believe that statement to be true. But in particular for the detractor community, because we have people within this community who claim they don't like Phil or they hate Phil even, yet they give him money. And this is a dynamic and a thought process that I really want to dive into, because on the surface, it makes no sense. But if we take a deeper look, maybe it will. So the first thing I want to say before I even get started is, no, I am not trying to gatekeep how you or how anybody else, quote unquote, detracts. You can do what you want to do. It is your life. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all nameless faces on the internet. So who really cares, right? But my thought process is, how can we seriously sit up here and get on the dents day in and day out for giving Phil money and then turn around and give him money? I mean, this just doesn't make sense to me from a logical perspective. Also, when you consider what this does for Phil, not in the moment, because I know in the moment people are thinking, oh, it's just a couple bucks, whatever, grovel, get on your knees for pennies, right? So I get that thought process. But what you need to think about is the cumulative amount of money that Phil has earned off of Detractors. Just think about that. Think about his 10 plus or 15 plus year career. I really wanted to start when he was streaming, right? Because ain't that really when the troll tips and the troll messages started that was tied to money? So let's say roughly 10 years he's been streaming like this. How much money do you think he's made off of Detractors? Try to put a number on that. 100 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, it's far too much. So ultimately, all you're doing is really enabling him. So that's the first point. My second point is, what really is the end game here? And I think this is something that everybody needs to ask themselves instead of just fuming and gnashing their teeth. But really, what would you like to happen in the long run? Now, for me, I think Phil would do himself a lot of good if he went to therapy, if he got help with his addiction, streamed half as much, and got a part-time job. I think those couple of things there will really solve a lot of his problems, because a lot of the problems come from him being in his own mind too much. And the only information that he's receiving primarily is from people who do not like him, and the people who do like him at times can be fickle, because what they want from him, he will not fully provide. So ask yourself, what is it? You want Phil to go to prison? What? You want him to be called to the carpet by the IRS? What really is it? Because I just don't think giving him money is ever the answer. My next point is, Phil is so emotionally unstable all the time because, number one, his addiction. Number two, his inability to tell friend from foe, because most of his interactions are coming from numbers and letters on a screen, right? So all you have to do is use the situation that's currently happening and twist it in a certain way, and you'll get the reaction that you're looking for. Case in point, Kick Chat, damn near every single day. All they're doing is commenting on what he's doing, and they're persistent, so they get a reaction. Now, that's not the only way of going about it. Obviously, you can LARP and act like you like him and, you know, stroke his ego a little bit. And then maybe then at that point, what you say will have more weight, but that's going to require more patience from you, you know? So, I mean, there's a myriad of ways of going about and getting what you're going after, because I understand you want his reaction. And what I'm saying is, you don't have to spend $1 to do it. He'll give it to you anyway. You just have to be persistent and a little crafty. Now, when I opened this up, I mentioned there being a thin line between love and hate. And that's true. Now, there's obviously something going on here where you are into this guy so much that you want his attention, because ultimately that's what the super chat is for. And this is why whales get so mad when they don't get their recognition, because even though it is helping the streamer, the other part of that is them getting the acknowledgement from that streamer. The dopamines go off, they feel good about themselves, they feel acknowledged, all that, right? So ask yourself, are you seeking Phil's attention? And if you are, why? I mean, that's something you seriously have to ask yourself, because you're doing the same things that his whales do, right? Now, your intent might be different, but ultimately you're taking the same course of action. And all I'm saying is, why, when there are worthy alternatives? Now, I ain't gonna hold y'all up too much. This here was a little bit of a side quest, but even before I started making content on Phil, this is something that I noticed. And I always thought to myself, like, damn, why would you ever give this guy money? Ever, for anything? The only one that I can kind of give a pass to is the Argentinian delegation, because that serves a role in, you know, kind of making his infrastructure not be what it is, right? It takes up the available slots for his memberships or whatever, right? So that serves a dual purpose, even though they are technically still giving him money. But for the people who are giving him $5 tips and $2 tips and $4 and $5 super chats because you're upset that he's doing something, or that you're upset that he didn't acknowledge something you said, I think that's an issue. And how can we seriously sit up here and get on the dents day in and day out about them giving him money, and we sit up and do the same things? That shit just don't make no sense to me. And maybe it ain't for me to understand. Maybe it's just something for me to accept. Y'all let me know. But that's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Urban style content. I'm dead.